All right, we are back live in a. Remember that in the 80s, they used to always have. Today we're going to have a very special whatever it was. So today we are having a very special Virtual Design Master. This is outside of the regular rotation just because questions come up. Questions come up through back channels through the email with the participants, and we've actually got a few participants live joining us today as well. And the main reason why we wanted to do this one live is we were very lucky through this challenge designed by our very own Edward Haletky. So Edward, if you don't already know Edward, he's Tex I Will on Twitter, and he is much more than that. But what we wanted to do was to be able to take this challenge and open it up a bit so that we can try and figure out, what's the right way to approach this without giving too much away, because of course we have our live defenses coming up in 2 nights from this very moment. And also one more big thing, we have a huge announcement today, and just like any good production, it would be kind of silly for us to unveil it right here in the opening. So everybody's going to have to hang tight for a little bit, and we're going to go through some Q&A for a while, and then we're going to make our big Season 4 announcement, which is always nice when we get a mid-season one. So Angelo, introduce yourself, of course, to the group. Welcome back, and how's it going for you? You've got the easy part, right?
Yeah, exactly. I got the fun part. I get to watch everyone sweat, so this is great. Good to be back. Exciting to see a lot of the exchanges in the back channel with questions. Really a lot more than last year and the year before, so that's really interesting. I don't know if the challenges are getting harder or what's involved there, but it's really good to see that folks are really interested. This is a real competition, so it's great that folks are really putting the time in to get through it.
And of course, as I mentioned, we do have a few live attendees with us here from the competition. So maybe we'll start from the middle and work our way across. Val, since you're in the heart of it there, if you want to reintroduce yourself to the group, and then we'll move on to Katerina and Manuel, who is joining us tonight.
Okay, hey, good night, everyone. This is Valdecir. I'm calling from Brazil, and I'm really enjoying to be participating in this VDM Master Challenger. It's gonna be it has been a really challenger for me, and I'm enjoying a lot.
Excellent. And Katerina, we of course know, everybody should know you now as the Spot Prize winner of Best Judges Pick from the first challenge. If you want to reintroduce yourself to the folks here.
Yeah, hi, and thank you. So yeah, I'm Katerina. I'm connecting from Bratislava, Slovakia, and I'm also having a lot of fun with the challenge. It's exciting, it's tough and challenging, but trying to get through it as good as I can.
All right. And we have a newcomer to the live event tonight, but we did have Manuel's design heading into the first challenge, and so you got away lucky because he didn't have to do a live defense, but we're not going to let you off quite that easy as we head into the first of the challenges. So Manuel, let's introduce yourself to the rest of the group here.
I am Manuel from Paris, France, and I found this challenge by luck on Google, and I tried to know which level I have.
Excellent.
Eric, it always amazes me with VDM that we get people from all around the world participating. It almost feels like the Olympics to some respect, people kind of representing their where they're from. So really exciting to see. I really love that.
Yeah, it's we are truly a worldwide community. It's been a lot of fun, and it's always funny because we've thought about how do we cater to folks that are outside the time zone that we're in. Most of us are Eastern and Central time here, so unfortunately we do cater to our North American time zones, and that's a traditional North American arrogance, we like to call it. We think the world should map to our language and our time zone. So welcome to Virtual Design Master Eastern Time Zone Edition. But anyways, without further ado, I'm going to do a quick little back end, try and invite a couple more folks on. And Edward, if you want to take it away and tell us what the focus is you want to bring here, and then we'll take some questions across the board.
Well, I'm Edward Haletky. I'm a virtualization architect cloud architect, container architect, you name it, I've done it. I work in the virtualization and cloud security world. Have a wonderful little podcast on virtualization and cloud. If you want to listen to it, it's on iTunes. Have fun. I've been writing about this stuff since 2004-ish, so it's kind of fun. I've been watching the whole area grow. So I was in there at the beginning. This challenge I came up with is because actually I suggested to the team because there was nothing on security on VDM that I've seen in the past. So that's why I came up with something that is actually very real today. Data centers are getting hacked and people aren't noticing they've been hacked for 365 days. That's the average. That's too long. So the whole idea is, how do we speed that up? How do we speed up detection? How do we look at prevention? And how do we look at the data we already have to help us do all that? So that was the basis of my thinking behind all this. And it's actually some of the stuff that I deal with on a daily basis. So, without further ado, since I came up with the challenge and I'm the security expert, I guess, go ahead and ask your questions.
So I guess we'll start from the center and work our way across. Val, do you want to get us started there?
No, I don't have any question. I just came to hear what you guys gonna say and try to figure it out. I have something in my mind and I wanna just hear by now.
Good
Right.
strategy. Good
That's what I'd
strategy.
say. There you go. He's playing the. He's going to sit, watch, observe, and then take away.
VDM is always part design, and then there's also that little part of strategy against your competitors. So great move.
I will say one thing for everybody. There is, and I said this in the email, and every design that I read and looked at, they were missing one critical component. If you can figure out what that critical component is, it'll help you with the challenge.
Security?
I didn't say what it was.
I'm guessing.
Maybe, maybe not.
Okay.
So, we just had someone else join us.
Yep, we have Gareth here with us, and in fact, Gareth had some great questions, and we may have him sort of lead things out. Gareth, if you want to just quickly introduce yourself to the folks, and then we can we'll maybe get you to kick things off. Unless Katerina, do you want to start with some questions that you may have for the group?
Well, I have plenty of questions.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah. I guess my biggest challenge with this one is trying to find the right balance between securing the environment and on the other side trying to figure out what the intruders are doing in the environment. So I have some tools and settings that I can do and just say that this is some kind of standard security hardening, so it's not that suspicious. But then I have tools that I would actually like to use to really see what the intruders are doing in the network, what are the tools that they are using, the practices, and so on. But I'm having really hard time masking it from them because they can see what I do in the infrastructure. So really the balance between them, I'm not sure how to handle that.
And that's actually always a balance. It's always a problem. Right now in the security world, if you went to RSA conference last year or any of the RSA conferences around the world, you will see that 70% of the show floor is one particular type of security. If you look at the sponsors, you'll get an idea of what they do. The thing is that is actually what I asked you to do. So if there's a little homework for you, go ahead and look at them. But there's two parts to this. And actually probably about three parts, but the biggest problem you have is detection. Well, you have to decide what has changed. How do you determine that? That's not going to be software you're going to be adding in to do prevention or detection. It's something else. I'll let you guys know that. However, what you do to do that may help you with one or the other, detection and or prevention. One thing is, you need to realize, and a lot of security teams realize this now, and it's a very hard problem, is that you'll never get 100% prevention. So the best you can hope for is reduced detection times. You can try to do 100% prevention, but you'll just be pulling your hair out because it's an arms race. Remember, this guy is deep in the bowels of the super nap. He has compute power coming out his ears. If you ever been to a super nap, there's more computing hardware there than is probably in most stock rooms anywhere. And I'd probably bet it's untouched or well maintained. So let's think that prevention is going to be difficult. I'd spend less time on that and more time on the other. However, knowing that, there is a way to prevent it, at least for certain cases. But you're right, he can see everything you can see, that everything you're doing. So you need to do things that are beyond, that are not security related, but they are. You can't change the underlying hardening without him seeing that and saying, I've been caught. Let me do something else. Now, there is actually another whole solution to this problem that allows me to watch what he does. It's actually a solution that's part of my solution. As you guys have been doing this, I've been doing it because it's been just fun. So there's multiple solutions here. I've come up with 2 or 3 myself. So don't think that there's just one solution. But do realize prevention is not really the goal. It's just a piece of the puzzle. And to be honest, it's becoming a smaller piece of the puzzle because you get into an arms race. And you don't want to be in an arms race. Not with the bad guys.
So the answer is yes and no.
The favorite virtualization in cloud and container answer of the day is it depends.
This is almost as good as when someone asks Brian if or suggests blades, and Brian, he tells one person you shouldn't have used blades, and then the next person he says, you know, you should have used blades.
Yeah.
It's all about, you know, there's never a right answer. That it's about justifying. It's about a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
And Manuel, you as a fresh face to the live event, do you have any questions you wanted to bring to Edward, since we've got a chance to bring some French influence here? As a vive la différence, it's always nice to have a little more than just French Canadian represented here.
I just have the feeling about this challenge. It's more to compromise my own system with a watchguard on my shoulders. From challenge 1, I didn't treat the security part because I was out of time for business issue reason. But anyway, and right now I'm working in a circle to find the right way to bypass this stuff, because everything I do, the intruder can see it. So I don't find the right hint right now to grab it.
Well, I gave a couple of hints about that. There is a way to introduce more security without actually the intruder really knowing about it. It depends on whether or not the intruder wants to continue doing what he's doing. Remember how you caught him. You personally found an order that you wrote that was different.
That's why also in my email I tell you, usually when you target a system or someone, you have a specific information to grab. So you know what is the information. That's just the way to take it. Here it's another way to do.
Well, remember, he's infiltrated the Earth DC, but not the Lunar or Mars DCs. Remember, those are still out there somewhere. Think about it from that perspective.
I tried to do that maybe 3 years ago.
I'm sorry, I didn't make that out.
I tried to think in that way for since 3 hours ago.
Okay. Well, the big thing is that, as I said, there's something missing from every design I've seen. You determine what that something that's missing, and find a way to create it, or implement it, or, oh, I didn't talk about that, but I should have. There's a whole lot involved here. So look for that. Look at the tools you're using. They all have some play in this. But the most important thing is to decide how you can put some level of security in play without showing your hand. And it's possible because of the way your systems are designed.
And the bad news is the big announcement is not going to be that thing that Edward keeps mentioning. No one's getting off that easy. So
No. It's pretty basic, the data center design, so you got to think about it from that perspective. But think about the other way is that you can't modify the quote-unquote system, but what do you update on a daily basis when new things come around? And as an admin, what do you do almost every day?
This is really getting folks to stretch their thinking, so that's awesome.
That's good.
So with that, we're going to bring over the other side of the channel. We have Gareth. If you want to mic up and again reintroduce yourself to the group, and welcome back to the mid-season surprise episode.
Hello everyone, I'm Gareth, hope you can all hear me. I'm from the United Kingdom. It's currently very early hours of the morning over here, currently about 20 past 1 in the morning, so trying to stay awake here, let alone all the sleepless nights already, sitting up writing the document. I feel this challenge has stretched me, because I've been at both ends of the scale. I've worked for very small businesses all the way up to governmental sectors, so this challenge, Gareth, has stretched me in places, because I've been at the full end of everything is locked down, everything is monitored, to, well, actually security is just, well, that's a nice thing to have, as long as we don't get sued. It's really made me think outside the box, not just on the technological side. The only hint I'll probably give away to my kind of heroes is a lecturer very once told me the very first thing is all humans are stupid, and he told me that in a security lecture, and it's unfortunately stuck with me throughout the entirety of this thing. Is the more and more I think about it, is we're saying there's a bad actor, but how do we not know there's a cast of actors? Let's be realistic. If I took down a whole data center, I'd be pretty impressed myself. So we're only assuming there's one person here. So are there multiple people? I know my skills don't stretch all the way right down to the nth degree of networking, all the way to the nth degree of VMware. We're assuming there's one person involved here, and do we need to start thinking a little bit further than there's just only one of them out there? And what about our sole person on the planet? Are they just a decoy? Are there more than just this sole person? Are they trying to achieve exactly the same as what we are? There's a lot to think about.
Yes. Oh, you're getting into challenge 7, 8, and 9 there. Whoa.
No, actually, it's a good thought process, because it could be more than one. We did tell you the black market was involved. We did tell you that the data center was taken control of. Remember, these data centers were not modern data centers. They were things dropped from the sky. Right? So if they're there, how did they get into it in the first place? But that's something to think about, but that was not part of the challenge. The challenge is to figure out what's changed, which is doable, and then how do you detect such changes in the future, and eventually how do you prevent them? If you want to talk about physical security, about trying to figure out how the guy got in there in the first place, it may not have been a guy or a gal. It could have been a robot. An insectoid robot. There you go. Remember, this is way in the future, and this guy's been down in the bowels of the earth tinkering with all sorts of computer equipment. Could be anything. But you also landed your data centers in pretty key locations for various reasons. And once you hook up to those various reasons, things can go south in a hurry. Think about how long, if you put a machine right on the internet, on the network, how long would it take to be hit and attacked? Does anybody have an idea?
I'm going to ballpark. It's
Hours.
small minutes potentially,
Minutes
but
or hours. It's minutes. It depends on who's looking at your DNS records, and you know.
It's seconds, by the way.
Wow.
It's not minutes, it's not hours, it's not days, it's seconds.
if only they got to my blog that fast. So maybe if you want to relate this, Edward. Now the fun part about what we do with Virtual Design Masters, we stretch the story as much as we stretch the concepts. You know,
Yes.
we make it fun, and you know, like I said, we talk about insectoid robots, all these things, but these are fundamentals that come back to stuff that we do in our data centers and our cloud environments today. So Edward, where are some good places that maybe a little beyond what we can do in the reading in the next 2 days, but where are the good places for people to go to kind of figure this type of strategy out and how to attack these problems before they happen and after they've happened?
Well, without giving away too many company names for products you guys can use, actually my site alone, virtualizationpractice.com, which will be TVP strategy soon, I write about this stuff all the time. I've been writing about it for years. So if you guys haven't been to my site and looked up at the security topic, I would recommend you do. That may give you some help on this. The other thing is that you look at any company that does behavioral analysis as a part of their process. They are starting down this path today. And I can't give you anybody that's specific, but you can search for behavioral analysis companies out there. It's a good starting point. One thing you need to realize is that the data that security experts are looking at is the exact same data that operations folks are looking at. They're interpreting it differently. This is a realization that's just coming to fruition today. I mean, there's only a half dozen products I know of doing that type of collusion. And it's changing the game quite dramatically. So other than giving away the names of companies, which I'm not going to because you may pull their products into your designs, which would be fine, look for behavioral analysis. There's a whole bunch written on it. There's a lot of very extremely scientific papers if you really want to get to that depth. University of Sweden, I know, has a bunch. Some out of Israel as well have a huge number. Sweden's actually older. They've been around longer. So there's a few things you need to think about there. This is not new. I'll let you know, nothing we're talking about is new, but everything I'm talking about is often overlooked. When you think about security in your designs to date, in any work you've done on design, has security been anything in your mind when you're doing it? I only saw one person with one security tool in any design. And it's not the best. It's a great start, but it's not the best tool out there. But it does give me a great start.
So I think that we've got a lot of folks that are learning fast here.
Yes.
And again, remember that everyone here is learning at the same rate, which is more rapid than we're used to a lot of times. So don't feel uncomfortable about what you're putting forward. Think about how. Think about how you approach this. What are the requirements? And I put out a quick little Twitter survey, and that was the big thing, is like, what are the 4 things that we're tackling here? A real solution solves the problem when it, and the number 1 answer is, meets business requirements. So Edward's laid out very clearly what some requirements are here. So try and focus within those ones at the very least. And maybe, do we have any other questions as well? Katerina, I know you said you had a few questions. We'll go back and forth here, perhaps.
Yeah, well, maybe I think in part of the description, part was that the black market uses our network does it mean that they run also all of the communication and everything through our network devices?
Depends on how your network's divided.
Okay.
Okay. Most of your networks are not divided. They're not segregated. Physical access generally means access to everything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's there. So we can assume that he's watching everything, whether it's communication or not. If you're watching a movie from Mars and it happens to be whatever you don't want, your family, he's probably watching it too. Okay? The real question here, to me, is what isn't he watching? And I've already stated a few places he has not watched. There's actually a few more that I've come up with as well that may have what you need, depending on how they were laid out and designed and everything, but no one's ever actually tackled that particular problem. The communication, yeah, assume it's being watched. Yeah. Yet, that being said, what is considered normal communication and what is considered abnormal? And remember, you found a changed order. Can you think of 3 or 4 places that order may have been changed? And when you think about where that order has been changed, are there maybe 3 or 4 different approaches you can take to ensuring that the orders are not changed? Or if they are, they're detectable. So yeah, communication's been messed with too. Everything. He has access to the physical container. Go on.
Sorry, my thought process behind was that if they use my network channels to communicate as well, they can see what I do, but then I can also see what they do. So
yes, you can. Now that you know, you have the advantage. He doesn't know you know.
Yeah.
Unless you're talking about it over the wire. Then he'll just listen in and say, I got to do something different. Right?
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a choose-your-own-adventure novel.
Go to page 56.
I don't know if folks remember that from, I think it was the 80s. Those great little novels where you could, I'll try that. No, let me go back. Let me take the other path. Let me try that.
Well, in a lot of ways, security is very much like that today.
Hmm.
You can go down a lot of different paths and get to somewhere that may or may not be the real solution. It's kind of like the Clue, the movie, where you may have 4 different endings.
Yeah.
You may have 4 different endings based on where you go down and how you go down the path. Remember, whatever you do, and we didn't document this and we're not going to, you may get some questions about it, the bad actor is going to respond to in some fashion if he knows about it. Right? If he doesn't know about it, he may not ask at all. He may realize his shipments aren't being made. But think about this way, another one. What if he didn't have control of the network? How would you do that? How would you wrest control back? Or gain control back and basically make a big honeypot? Without actually shipping a honeypot down there. Because he'll see that in a heartbeat.
I hear the sound in the background of the rest of the Virtual Design Master participants weeping and crying in the background. I would realize we're in big trouble here. We've got 48 hours to be defending. In fact, 48 hours to defense, but we've got documents that are due in, let's just see, that puts just under 10 hours, right?
Yes.
And don't feel discouraged. Submit, even if it's not a completed design. Submit it. It's one way to stay in the competition.
To be honest, even if it's just notes for this particular challenge, that will be helpful. We want to know how you're thinking, what your process is. Remember, the very first thing we're asking you to do is incident response. Incident response is critical. Incident response is finding the extent of the damage and then how you're going to fix it. That's the basics of incident response. If you can't find the basics, can't find what the extent of the damage, you may not be able to find how to fix it. Right? So that's what this really is about. And that's a real-world task and tool you're going to use.
I think it's quite a good real-world example for some of the guys on here. Is that unfortunately I've seen customers hit by it. Is the CryptoLocker virus over the last coming weeks, and that's really opened my eyes. Is taking a step back and going, well, actually, how do I stop this spreading so quickly, and how do I isolate that? You know, it's very much like our rogue agent. Is what do you do to stop them without a knee-jerk reaction, and then removing your private key or disabling your system entirely? You've got to be very careful, but at the same point, be very quick to respond that nothing else gets damaged in the process.
Yep. In that one, you really want not. I mean, for CryptoLocker, in my mind, the only prevention you can do is to train the people to do better, because it really is a people doing the wrong thing. As Gareth said, you must have had the same instructor I did. He basically said there's no patch for stupid. You know, there really isn't. But people are going to be people, and let them be who they are. But the real question then becomes, how do you get the data back as fast as possible? Knowing how CryptoLocker works. What's your only recourse? If you get hit with it, you either pay the fee, right? Or you do something else. What is that something else? Well, you restore from backup, right?
Yeah.
But where was that backup stored? Was it also locked? And if it's a USB connected or a network connected drive, I'll guarantee you it was locked. Think about it from the perspective of if this hit a server room with a petabyte of Hadoop storage. A CryptoLocker of a petabyte of data. How do you get it back? This is your company. This is your business. This is immediate. You need an incident response plan. And that's all it's about. What's that response to that particular incident? How many people have actually thought about it? Now, be aware, he hasn't hit you with CryptoLocker and he doesn't plan to. So
that's a good spot for us to let's review our hints we've got so far. Now, I tweeted out there's a link to the virtualization practice, the security section. Of course, you just go to thevirtualizationpractice.com, and under the topics, you can select security among a lot of really great stuff that's there. So Edward kind of tipped his hat that there may be some good content in there that could help everybody. We know that CryptoLocker is not in play. That's a new one. We know there's going to be this big hint that we're not going to get, and maybe we'll get a bit of a reveal, but not a complete reveal, because it will come into play who knows where else, throughout the Virtual Design Master futures. Edward, what else do we have that we had in our sort of quick hints that we wanted to make sure we recap and drop for people?
Well, remember, this is all about incident response. Initially, the rest of it's forensics. There is a way that I know of to insert security without the bad guy realizing it's being inserted. It's something people do every day when they're dealing with new software. And old software, for that matter. It may not be a system-level thing.
It's not a flux capacitor, is it?
No capacitor, no time travel. You'd have to, to be honest, to find time travel, you'd actually have to find a black hole, go around it, through it, whatever, or wormhole, maybe skip a gravity wave, I think is the next best thing to do time travel. And you have to find a gravity wave that actually hasn't hit the planet yet, so you have to go before it.
Right.
So not only do we have a lot of good stuff that we've covered right now, but I think it's about time that maybe our folks that are watching live want to hear our big announcement. We've been very lucky throughout Virtual Design Masters history to have a great community that supports us. And part of the community that keeps us together is, folks like yourselves who come back in and help out. We've got a lot of our gifts. So James Brown, who actually provided our judge's choice for the first challenge for Katerina. James was a previous competitor. Now James works at Nutanix, community guy, super supporter, great fellow, and just said, hey, what can I do to help? We've got a lot of other folks that help keep the site design going, a lot of other volunteer things, and it ranges in different sizes. I'm lucky. I spoke to my team at VM Turbo, and they actually jumped on board and said they would actually sponsor us for the grand prize. Now, normally, our grand prize is an advanced certification package. It's been sponsored in the past by Renee Vanden Bedham, by Josh Odgers, and we saw the push where we had both the test package paid for VCDX or NPX because they're about the similar price, as well as mentoring towards that. Now, because of a shift in the way our community's gone, we had trouble getting folks to be able to jump in for mentoring. But you're literally living mentoring right now, and we're going to get a bit more. And Edward, maybe we're going to announce a little bit later about some of the stuff that Edward's actually bringing to the challengers, over and above what we've already learned just today. But we are very happy to announce that we have added another.
Before you say anything.
There we go.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We are adding another grand prize sponsor. The VMUG, so the VMware User Group organization, has come on board, and they are adding an additional $1,000 to be spread throughout our top 3 contenders. So effectively, that brings us up to the point where, again, we're going to pay for the advanced certification for our Virtual Design Master for Season 4. Our second place contender is going to win, at this point, $500 at a minimum. Plus, we've got additional prizes that are kind of coming through and going to be shared amongst the group. And our third prize contender, again, at a minimum, is going to get $250 plus. We have Brian Sewer, who joined us as a sponsor as well. He's giving 8 copies of his Architecting EUC Solutions, which is very, very cool. Brian's a great guy, great author, so we're very happy to have him come on board and support the program. Of course, we have Kudzo, we have VM Turbo. We've got a whole slew of folks. If you go to the sponsors page, you can see a list of them there, and on the bottom of the main page. So again, we want to give huge thanks to VMUG for supporting us, not only in being a VMware oriented, but anywhere, because VMUG is much more than just VMware at this point. We're a growing community. So there's no sleep now, knowing that you've got even more on the line. Yeah. Now, Gareth, do you have any other questions? I know you had a couple more. Maybe you want to pop in. We're going to give a few more minutes to open up the floor to folks, and then we're going to wind down today because everybody needs a little bit of sleep, so you've got to do some work on these challenges for tomorrow.
One thing I find in the past is what's taught me the biggest with this whole process is our incident response. Is that making a knee-jerk reaction may well cause more harm than good. It's, no matter how many good ideas I have, as you said, everything has been monitored, everything has been checked. How long until our bad actor or actors get onto us and either remove the data center away from us or even access to us entirely? There are so many things I could do to start preventing them from doing things or watching what they're doing, but there is still that major fear of, we may well lose everything. Is it really worth the risk, or is it just better to be in their position? Let's monitor. Let's play them at their own game. Let's lay traps. Let's understand what they're doing before we go ahead to our board and go, we need to do X, Y, and Z. It's all great having an incident response plan, but until you have all the facts, is it really worth always running that plan straight away?
Well, that's actually always a debate. In the modern world, you do your incident response plan regardless. And most incident response plans are not immediately locking things down. in changing the environment. That's not the real way most incident response plans go. But understanding what's happening, absolutely, gathering data, absolutely, analyzing it, absolutely, coming in with an intelligent response so that you can capture whatever it is and do whatever it is. But the biggest part of incident response is actually finding out the extent of the damage. Once you know the extent, now you know whether or not it's actually worth doing. Is he getting eggs from, I mean, like for example, is he getting penny loafers shipped down from Mars, or is he getting like an electron microscope? Which one costs more? Well, maybe the penny loafers because leather is rare. I don't know. But when you think about it, cost is going to have a lot to do with how you respond. Some things are way too expensive, but other things are not. Think about it this way. You're trying to recolonize the Earth. The Earth is huge.
But it again goes back to your same question kind of has a hidden answer is do you let them get away with maybe a couple of servers? In the grand scheme of things, he's a billionaire, our investor, that's not a lot, versus all your data. Is it really worth the risk of losing all that analytical data you've had over the last few years of the zombie apocalypse? Is it really worth losing all that data for the sake of a couple of servers? Our billionaire friends have more than enough money.
Hold it. In your design, is that data anywhere?
In my design, I've replicated it in several places.
But is it the full database?
Should be in my design. I've replicated it everywhere and I've backed it up on a nightly basis, so I should have access to it. And I can remove that away.
You have Humanity Link software. Do you actually have all the medical and everything about the zombie apocalypse there? Probably not. No one would be that foolish.
Mm.
So don't assume there's more there than there actually is. Now, I'm going by what I read. And you wrote about backing up Humanity Link software. You didn't mention anything about the databases, the medical databases. Okay? You can go off the rails on this very, very easily. And this is actually what happens to a lot of security people is they look at the entire everything and think the sky's falling instead of actually looking at what's reality. I can create the most secure data center in the world. Literally can. You step foot in it, you could be dead. It's not that hard to do. Makes it kind of unusable, though, don't you think? But the main thing is, if you have, I mean, you got to look at this. What is actually there on Earth? And the question is it worth saving? Well, yeah, it's your foothold. I don't know. Is the billionaire going to fund yet another expedition? He may.
We've got to have season 5, don't we?
But the other thing is, it's not the only place you are. That's a big hint. Remember, there is massive time differences between all of them. No accounting for like speed of light being broken, which actually I don't think will be broken in any time soon, unless you have tachyon beams. And to be honest, I don't think it's going to happen. The distance between the round trip between the Earth and the Moon is 2.6 seconds, or 1.3 going there, 1.3 to respond. Getting to Mars at perigee, which is the closest, is 3 minutes away, 3 light minutes. At apogee, which is the complete other side of the sun, is 24 minutes, if you can get through the sun. So you need to put things elsewhere.
I can't even get a cell signal in downtown Manhattan.
You got it. Think a big ball of metal in your way. The average communication time to Mars is 12 minutes. So does time fit into this in some fashion? Now, I'm not a firm believer in breaking the laws of physics. I just don't think we're capable of doing it in any time soon. Maybe I'm wrong. So we still have those boundaries to work with.
We can say that so far with all of the Virtual Design Master challenges, no matter how much of suspension of disbelief we've taken around zombies and anything else, physics is held strong, and we've actually had some very interesting designs that have been put in with specific reference to true latency across distances. We've introduced some conceptual ideas, but it's science holds true. This is legit.
Yeah. So the real question is colonizing Earth important? And I'm going to say it is. And I'm going to say your billionaire friend thinks it is too. Losing that foothold would be disastrous. Okay? The data center is not the foothold, though. The people are. However, if the people aren't getting the supplies they need for transshipment, then you lose the foothold. But let's not go off the rails here. Think about your design, think about the past VDM designs, and work from there.
And one strategy, folks, you might want to consider is write a blog post about what you're thinking about doing. Get reaction from the community on some of the items you have that you're planning, and might be a good way to get feedback and help shape some more of your thinking around the topic.
Also, I'm going to definitely give you this. No matter what, no man is an island. When you come to designing a data center, or you come to designing an application, or anything in computers, or even aircrafts, satellites, whatever, it's a team of people working together. I pass my ideas off of my colleagues all the time. You work with other people, tell them what you're doing, and see if you can get their ideas about what they would do. You don't have to do this alone, and you shouldn't, because I'm positive that when you work for a company, they're not going to stick you in a room all by yourself and say design or go. They're going to give you a team of people to work with to get that design out, and you're going to be shooting everything off of each other until you come up with a valid answer to all the questions. In this particular area of detection and prevention, let's just ignore the word security, but just detection of bad things happening and prevention of those bad things is not uncommon, and it's often overlooked. For instance, there's actually another design mechanism, a contest sort of, where you can go through a huge amount of work and never once touch security and still get the certification. Now, I think that's rather unfair, because to me that's not a data center design. There are partial design that's missing, has big holes in it you can fly planes through. In this case, space shuttles. So think about it that way. This has to be part of everything you do. It's a mindset. It's more than anything. I want you guys to inherit this mindset, just thinking about, even if it's just, oh, we did our design. How do we detect a bad actor? Maybe they're attacking, they changed something here. How would we detect that? Even asking that one question is going down the right path, in my mind.
Excellent. Okay, folks, so unfortunately we are winding down towards our hour. I know that we've got just shy of 9 hours left to see our designs submitted here. So hopefully we've learned from what we've seen here. Again, huge thanks to Edward for this and everything that we've seen through the communications, both on Slack, we've got email transfer, lots of stuff that's going on. Don't be afraid to keep those chats going. It's absolutely what this community is about. We're about continuous learning, continuous community. As we can see it right now. It's a 24-hour cycle. We have followed the sun. People that are working around the clock to make sure that we can get this happening. So it's definitely something we want to keep promoting, keep doing. We're looking forward to those submissions tomorrow. So remember, 10 a.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday, we're looking for all of our submissions. We will hand them over to the judges. They will go for the live defense the following day on Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And I just had to quickly go back over the full list. Again, a reminder, we invited VM Turbo as our premier grand prize sponsor this year, and we've also now just added the VMUG organization matching as another gold sponsor. Jason Langer. Jason's a great community supporter, also putting in $400 towards something for the folks. Timothy Patterson, previous Virtual Design Master winner, giving a $200 AWS credit as well as mentoring towards the AWS Certified Solutions Architect Professional Exam. Stephen Viljoen, recognizing also as a previous winner that there's much more to it than just what we experience, but what our family does. And so he's not only giving a Pluralsight subscription, but something fun for family members to share. We have Kudzo, a great new social platform that is going to be, actually we're going to talk to the folks individually through email about some cool stuff we're doing with Kudzo. James Brown, of course, gave our Judges Choice Award, $150 Amazon gift card. And Brian Stir with 8 copies of the Architecting EUC solution. So big thanks to Brian and to everybody on this list. I literally, every year it just gets more and more amazing, and every week we see more and more cool stuff. So thank you to everyone for everything we've done. Edward, anything to say in closing before we send these poor folks to a little bit of sleep?
One last question. Who wants it?
We're going to squeeze one more in.
We can squeeze one more in. Come on. Who wants it?
Come on.
You got one?
No.
No?
No, but I have lots of notes here.
Good.
You make my mind think better now.
Gareth? You got another one? Nope.
No, I need to sleep so I can process it all.
The osmosis approach, I love it.
So, and Angela mentioned a great thing. Of course, everybody here, most likely writes for their own work. They may write publicly as well. We've got obviously some great bloggers who are amongst our competitors. If you do write anything, make sure to send it along to the organizers, and we'll add you to the RSS feeds, and we'll get you as part of the continuous sort of social sharing. We want to do that as part of our continued promotion for all the work that you're doing for the community with sharing your stories. And it's helpful for other folks, in this current competition and down the road. Because not only do we share the actual design challenges and the results, but we also have the opportunity to continue to grow your network through our network that we're growing here together as this community.
Okay. Well, my best thing is just keep the ideas flowing. Come up with what you would do. That's all. A lot of it's just the way you're thinking, the process you're taking. But also remember, if you introduce something into the design, you need to justify it if it's hardware or software. It's not about what you add, it's about how you justify it.
And of course, be prepared to answer questions about it live on Thursday. So, because we will have our full judges group with us, we're going to figure out what the logistics are going to be. We're going to have to sort of bring folks on one at a time. We still have a very large group, and as you can imagine, we can't bring as large of a group forward into Challenge 3. So, no pressure, but you've got to bring what you can. Be prepared. Your live defense can also be very helpful towards your overall view, amongst the judges to help to bring you forward from challenge to challenge. Because we want to see every one of you be a virtual design master. We know you've all got the skills, so we're going to do what we can to help get you there. Angelo, where do we go next? What's the best way to keep watching this? Of course, we can go to virtualdesignmaster.io. Tell us the Twitter handle and some other good information to keep track of everything going on.
Yeah, so I encourage folks to follow VDM Challenge on Twitter. Catch past episodes at virtualdesignmaster.io/live.html. That's where we keep past episodes. I encourage you to share those with folks you think it would help. And one thing I want to leave folks with is please don't be discouraged. You just got to work through it. Everyone's learning at the same pace. This is rapid learning, and in the end, you'll be better off for it. So look forward to the judging this week.
Now I'm going to give another hint, and it may give an answer away, but I'll give one last hint away. And that is that what you detected was a change to the order and it was sent to a new location. How can you use that information to detect other changes?
All
And
right.
maybe the final thing I'll leave them with is could be yes, could be no.
No, this is actually legitimate. There's questions you can ask yourself and ask of that data to tell you if something similar has happened in the past. But what those questions are, you're going to have to decide and tell us.
All right. If we could actually ask one more thing as well, Edward, and I don't want to put pressure on you, if you could quickly just give a draft couple of pointer questions and email to the rest of the group, just for the folks that couldn't watch us live and won't be able to sit through the full session, it would be great to share that information. And again, thank you, Edward. Thank you, Renee. Thank you, Brian, through all of our judges who've continue to do so much out of their own personal time to help to make this happen. It's huge for us. So we couldn't be anywhere without all of the help behind this. Melissa is crafting up Challenge 3 as we speak, so be prepared. So for the folks that are going to come forward, you're going to have a pretty exciting challenge ahead of you that you're going to get introduced to on Thursday. And with that, we're going to close out for the very special Virtual Design Master for Season 4. Look for us at virtualdesignmaster.io/live.html, where we're going to have the live sessions every time, and we will see you all on Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time.
See y'all.